Good afternoon and welcome to Midday Live from the News Hub. I am Wendy Lai. Coming up this afternoon, students of the University of Professional Studies protest the siting of a fuel station close to its campus. Economic activities around Atomic Junction halted following Saturday's gas explosion. As Ghana marks Mental Health Week, we put the spotlight on mental health care in the country. And on the foreign front, Liberians to vote on Tuesday to elect a new president, and legislators in the West African country's third election since the end of the civil war in 2003. Details coming up shortly. We'll start now. When management of the University of Professional Studies is threatening legal action against the owner of a filling station sited close to the campus. Students of the university this morning staged a protest to get the self-filling station either relocated or closed down. Now, their action comes on the back of the explosion at the Atomic Junction, which has claimed 7 lives and injured more than 130 others.
So if you have been monitoring our channel quite often, then I'm sure that yesterday you noticed the story from the TF hostel at the University of Ghana, Legon campus, where a lot of student residents were affected by the gas explosion because their hostels were very close to the scene of the gas explosion. And that is the same thing that students here at the University of Professional Studies are trying to avoid. And because of that, what they are doing is that they are avoiding class right from now till the end of this week, just to express their displeasure about the presence of the gas filling station right behind one of their blocks. We will be speaking to the SRC executives to find out from them the real reason behind this protest and also find out from them what the action is going to be like. I have with me here the SRC president of UPSA, who will be telling us a lot more about this demonstration.
My name is Justice Gaduga, the SRC president. Actually, just this Saturday, we have been saddened to have a gas explosion at Atomic Junction, which has also had an effect on the students of UPSA. As I speak with you, we've got more than 20 of our students badly injured. Yesterday when I went to visit them, when I saw them, I couldn't eat in the night. I haven't eaten till this morning. The students are wounded so badly. And there's a filling station sited just behind our school. We've done everything that is supposed to be done to ensure that this filling station is relocated. But as we speak, the filling station is still operating. Even on the day when the explosion even occurred, they were still operating. They didn't even think about the lives of the students that are in danger. The number of students who are even injured already, they didn't even think about it. The gas explosion came all the way to the UPSA hostel. As I speak to you, most of the students, they have pains at their back because the heat hits almost everybody's back. And we have students who are also injured. We have pictures and videos of what actually transpired. And this filling station, look at where it is. It shares a wall with the school. Look at how far the atomic incident is, but look at what it has been able to do to us. And I tell you, on Saturday, most of the students were not on campus because we were outside campus. That is what saved us. If not for that, the mayhem and the running and the helter-skelter would have made so many students get more injured.
Lectures were going on when the explosion happened. Some lecturers fell down, and those lecturers said they are not coming to school because of what happened. So we are all scared. Look at where the filling station is, about 5 kilometers from the school, but we just felt as if it was occurring on campus. So we are just scared. We just want our plea to be heard. They said there are safety measures. We don't even know the kind of safety measures. I am sure that there are safety measures at the Atomic Junction, but still, accidents don't know any safety measure.
Absence from lectures, is it just today or till when?
No, we will do it. We want management to also address this issue.
Okay.
Because they've tried once and it wasn't successful. Now the student population, management, they are few. We are about 10,000. So I think if all the 10,000 students are protesting, our views are going to be heard.
I have with me here Seidu Mustafa, who is
Mohammed Mustafa.
Okay, I have with me here Seidu Mohammed Mustafa, who is the registrar for UPSA, and he will be telling us what management intends to do about the situation.
This another call for us to revisit where we ended this matter sometime last year. Okay. The students went on a number of, demonstrations. They had press conferences that they actually announced to the world about the siting of a filling station that's just behind our wall. And in Nigeria, it's cited as a place where you have about 30% of both staff and students moving through that, either into to work or outside to campus for lectures or outside to their hostels. And it stalled because we are written to EPA to the extent that, we thought they hadn't consulted us as a major stakeholder in this scheme before siting the filling station close to our borders. So this disaster that has come, in fact, it has reawakened the interest of everybody again. As we want to talk to the students to reassure them that at least their safety for now is of high concern to everybody. And based on government's own statement about looking at all the siting of these filling stations, and those that are not sited properly would actually be dealt with. We look at the possibility of even legal means to resolve this issue.
Are now filling station to be closed down or to relocate? Because you said you started pursuing this case some time ago. What has been the content of that communication?
Oh, no. That it was sited too close to our wall and posed a lot of danger, potential danger, in the event that something should happen. So as for relocating it, it's not what we are considering. It is too close to our wall. Whatever they have to do for it not to be close to our wall, we welcome that one.
This is a said filling station students of UPSA are protesting over. We will go inside and see if we can get some response.
Bring you more of that story in our subsequent bulletins. And the 37 military hospital is in dire need of medical consumables to treat victims of the Atomic Junction gas disaster. The facility currently has 40 victims, 2 of whom are in critical condition at the intensive care unit.
The 37 military hospital was inundated with a number of victims in the Atomic Junction gas explosion. At least 40 persons were rushed there officially as at 1 a.m. Sunday. 2 of the injured are currently in critical condition at the intensive care unit of the hospital. Some of the victims here, according to doctors, may spend a year or 2 on admission depending on their conditions. Already, the hospital administration is recalling staff on annual leave.
We've managed to bring in all those on off, those on leave, and those on courses in Kolebu and all over the place to help, and others are also around to help.
But the biggest challenge for the hospital authorities is inadequate consumables. The hospital says it lacks the needed medicals and logistics to treat patients.
Human resource, we are fine. Our basic problem is the logistical support by way of dressings, infusions, drugs for them, because so far we've taken care of them from our resources and they are not inexhaustible. So we are actually running out now.
Commandant of the hospital, Brigadier General Ernest Crosby Saka, called on the public and non-governmental organizations to come to their aid to save victims, some of whom have about 80% burns on their bodies.
And more on the atomic gas explosion. Founder and leader of the All People's Congress in the 2016 general election, Hassan Ayaga, has chided the Environmental Protection Agency for granting licenses to people to operate gas and fuel filling stations close to each other. Hassan Ayaga was at the scene of the gas explosion at Atomic on Sunday.
If you look around, we have about 4 different filling stations and a gas filling stations. My question is, why will the EPA give licenses to 4 different filling stations within a jurisdiction of less than 2 acres of land? Beside that, why will EPA allow all these filling stations for people to operate as market square, taxi rank, when you know that for safety rules and regulations, we are not supposed to have a lorry park around a filling station? We're not supposed to have a market square around a filling station, but we do allow all those things to happen. Meanwhile, these people have EPA licenses, and you are supposed to monitor and check what happens within the filling stations.
And the African Center for Energy Policy ASAP says the atomic junction explosion can be the last of human errors in the downstream petroleum sector if the systemic problems are dealt with. In a release signed by the Executive Director Benjamin Boakye, the group wants to see a shift from the government's business-as-usual responses to a comprehensive action that deals with the problem. ASAP blames institutions with a mandate to check, monitor and sanction the distribution of petroleum products in the downstream sector as responsible for these accidents. It called on NPA, that's Environmental Protection Agency, as well, the EPA, the Fire Service and allied agencies responsible for issuing permits to have a duty of care to ensure that the safety of Ghanaians is paramount in the siting and operation of these highly flammable petroleum products. The energy think tank, posited technical, structural and environmental integrity of the exploded gas installation is weak, pointing without doubt that the inefficiencies of authorizing bodies. Now, I do have on the phone line this afternoon the Executive Director of ASAP, Benjamin Boakye. Hello, Ben, and thanks for your time.
Welcome.
Can you hear me, Benjamin? Good afternoon and thanks for your time.
I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Now, in your release, you called for immediate technical audits on all petroleum product services station. How should be done, and how different is how different would that be from what these agencies have been doing in the past?
I think we consistently have these problems emerging, and all of the time we think of what we have to do, but there isn't clarity on what exactly ought to be done. And we think that what is missing is for us to have a comprehensive analysis of everything that is happening in the sector, inspect all installations, and ensure that they are actually fit for purpose. They meet the standards that are set to forestall all these exclusions from happening. And that is why we're calling that immediately what we need to do is to ensure that we have systems that passes some, structural and technical integrity tests to prevent any further explosions. Other than that, we may sit there and think long term and see what we can do to solve the problem into the future. And some other tanks may be sitting and looming to go up in flames again, and we don't have to see another explosion before we realize that a lot could be facing similar problems.
Now, if we're looking at exploring stiffer sanctions on owners of petroleum product stations who violate safety standards, what exactly would you say that should be?
I think if you take a license to operate, the onus is on you to also ensure that whatever the license says you deliver on them. Whatever caution you have to take to ensure that people who are manning the station acquire the requisite training and competencies, to be able to man the stations you do, and also to ensure that the installed equipment meets the right standards. And I think this responsibility should not be shifted also for those who own the station. They should own that responsibility to ensure that they protect lives and property. If you look at what happened in Atomic Junction, clearly you will know that for a leakage of that nature to happen, it questions the structural integrity of the installation, and therefore, in such a situation, those who own the infrastructure cannot be exempted. And you also recognize that even those who were discharging the product, when they saw the leakage, ran away. And if they had that set of drills and could appreciate what to do in such instances and situations, they could have averted a disaster from happening. So we have to have a system that punishes people from negligence and ensure that they take responsibility once you take up a business in the downstream petroleum sector.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time. Executive Director of ASA, Benjamin Boachi. We now move to health, and mental health authorities have recommended love, affection, and care for mental health patients to help them in their recovery. But how far can you go with a relative who is violent and hostile? In this report, Zubaida Ismail spends time with some mentally challenged persons at the Shekinah Hospital in Tamale.
The Shekinah Hospital, located in Tamale, is home to several mentally challenged persons in the region. In the absence of a psychiatry facility,
We'll bring you that story shortly, but we're still focusing on mentally challenged persons, and inadequate funds for feeding and medication of mental health patients continue to be a source of worry for authorities at the Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital. Hospital Director Dr. Eugene Dodoy lamented the lack of human resource at the facility is also affecting healthcare delivery. Established by the late Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in 1965, the Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital in the Central Region provides specialist psychiatric services as well as general outpatient services to the public. The facility occupies an estimated land area of about 1.5 square kilometer. The Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital was designed to be an ultra-modern health facility with a campus of a complete township with various social amenities for its staff. That notwithstanding, some of the envisaged projects have not been realized. The hospital has 11 wards, but only 7 are operational. It has between 160 to 190 patients on the ward at a time, instead of the maximum 150. At this female ward, we were told, out of the 42 patients population, 1/3 live there. A senior staff nurse, Danette Akutuchi, was worried health professionals are compelled to serve as security personnel at the various wards.
The dormitories don't have louvers. It's exposed to the harsh weather. When it rains, everything comes in. The sunshine, they are in it. So we sometimes have to improvise with clothing as curtains for them. Their washroom is insufficient.
Another concern for healthcare personnel at the male ward is patients escaping from the facility.
The nature of the ward is that they break through the window, the ceiling, sometimes, they jump over the walls. So it's become a very big challenge on us.
Some of the roofing seats, some are broken, so when it rains, it leaks into their rooms.
The in charge at the main male acute ward indicated they have encountered difficulties with the repatriation exercise due to wrong information given by relatives. Hospital Director Dr. Eugene Dodoy expressed concern about feeding and medication.
Lack of finances or funds to feed the patient and buy the medication they need and to treat them. I need doctors in mental health. This has been a stigmatized and deprived area that young doctors do not want to come over. So if there could be some motivation to get young doctors to come and work in here, that would have been a great help for us to, treat the people better.
Poor communication connectivity is a challenge as well.
None of the networks are working here very effectively, so we are kind of like cut off from the community, and would be very grateful if we can improve network services here. We have structures which are as old as like 50 or 60 years. We would be very happy if they could be renovated.
Meanwhile, the road network within the hospital is in a poor state. All right, so this afternoon we're still focusing on mental health as we mark mental health and celebration globally. And joining me in the studio this afternoon is Fred Nangtongma. He's the Knowledge and Communications Officer of Basic Needs Ghana. Good afternoon, Fred, and thanks for your time.
Thank you for
now,
having us.
Before we look at the celebration, we played a story and you sighed because you have dealt with issues in mental health for some time now. We have issues about human resource, financing, and it looks like the problem will just not go away. Are we really focused on dealing with the challenges in mental health as a country?
We appear to be dealing with it, but not in a comprehensive manner, at least not in the manner that gets results within the shortest possible time. As you rightly pointed out, the sector is still under-resourced because we've not prioritized this as a country. And because we've not prioritized this, it's become so difficult for people with mental illness to get the proper care they need when they visit facilities. So for organizations such as the one I belong to, Basic Needs, when we go and educate people to eventually accept that they need to go to hospitals, then they go to the hospitals, but there's no treatment available for them, at least not the medication. Because even though we've stated as a country that mental health treatment is supposed to be free, there isn't any medicine available. So a lot more people now rely on prayer camps and then other spiritual centers for treatment. And so we have to now contend with the problem of abuses in their human rights. So
now, when you talk about prioritizing, are there certain specific, because there are a myriad of challenges, are we looking at health, financing first, human resource second, or they have to go hand in hand?
As I said, this needs to be looked at comprehensively, and definitely they must go hand in hand.
Because if the resources are not, that's why I'm asking that, if the resources are not there, how do you deal with it?
By all means, is the first assault, which we need to consider. Because, for instance, the Mental Health Authority, without any money from government, has been able to achieve something. Organizations have helped the authority to make some gains within the mental health sphere. But within the remit of their mandate, there's still a lot to be done. And government needs to commit itself to providing the needed resources to accomplish these ends. So from resources, then you come to human resource. We still have a serious deficit when it comes to the required numbers of human resources we need to make sure that when people eventually go to the hospitals or whichever area of treatment they go to, the people or the human resource is available to ensure that they get the best possible care. So eventually, resources first, but then we must also make a certain commitment to increasing the number of people who are trained to handle issues of mental health.
Now, let's delve to the Mental Health Week celebration. Yourself and other stakeholders and agencies are working together on this, and the theme is mental health in the workplace. One might ask, or for viewers to understand, what has mental health got to do with the workplace, and how does this go together?
Mental health has everything to do with the workplace, insofar as we agree that human beings and not robots work at the workplace. And so far as they have the capacity to reason, or the capacity which is given to them by fact of their brains, then they are subject to mental illness. If we take into account all the researches that has been done to say that 1 out of every 5 people is likely to suffer some form of mental illness during the course of their lives, and 1 out of 4 indeed go on to suffer some form of mental illness during the course of their lives, then it is a very serious problem, especially if a lot of people find themselves within the working environment. Now, in the workplace, from unrealistic targets to having to work within a very constraining environment, all pose a challenge to the stress levels of people. So you have a lot of workers suffering from anxiety, a lot of workers suffering from depression, a lot of workers even not knowing how to cope with the normal stresses of life because they somehow expect the other shoe to drop, as it were, because of a lot of things that go on in their lives. Plus the fact that workers also have to juggle a lot of roles. So a presenter isn't just a presenter. A presenter is also a mother. A presenter is a wife. A presenter might be a church leader. You understand? These are roles that people eventually have to find a way to cope with. Unfortunately, there is no system to equip people to handle these things. And so, mental health in the workplace not only affects productivity, but also puts the very lives of our workers in danger.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Ferdinand Toma, he is the Knowledge and Communications Officer for Basic Needs Ghana. Thanks for your time. We look at some more stories, and Friday morning's downpour has weakened the temporary footbridge at the Cucurbita River on the Kaswa-Bojase Road. Despite several warnings, commuters continue to use the weakened footbridge unabated.
The downpour has caused the Cucurbita River to overflow its banks. The flood waters dragged some of the supporting pillars of the improvised wooden bridge, leaving it hanging. Although the police and NADMO officials reportedly blocked the entrance to prevent people from gaining access to the footbridge, commuters ignored the precautionary measure. Some commuters scaled the barricade to gain access to cross the bridge at the peril of their lives. Some shared their experience.
Because the plant was not in order, it's still shaking. So by the grace of God, we are expecting that the government will come and put it in so, because if these things continue between 3 days, something might happen.
There's no passage, so the policemen were here and then they blocked it because it's shaking, the bridge is shaking, and someone is likely to fall down and then anything can happen. But there should be a passage where pedestrians can pass. The bridge is not so strong. That's what we beg for the government.
Other residents appealed to contractors working on the bridge to create a temporal access to enable vehicles cross the river while they take their time to repair it. Meanwhile, the road diversion created for motorists to ply is deteriorating, compelling some drivers to create illegal routes through the community.
You're still watching Midday Live. We're back shortly. Thanks for staying. The fight against illegal and unregulated fishing in the country has received a major boost following the training of 100 fisheries compliance observers. The training is to complement the electronic monitoring systems being deployed to police and all fishing activities in the country's waters.
The decline in fish stock in the country is attributable to weak enforcement of the fisheries laws and regulations. The lack of enforcement emboldens fishermen to use harmful and unapproved fishing gear as well as unregulated fishing methods, threatening the sustainability of the industry. The observers will be monitoring the operation of fishing vessels and facilitate the collection of information on activities at sea to ensure Ghana meets the international obligation.
What we intend getting from you is integrity and hard work. So whatever you are doing as an observer, you have to remember you have to do it and do it well.
The Director of Fisheries Commission, Michael Arthur-Dadzi, cautioned against corrupt practices.
In our laws, failing to report a crime is in itself a crime. And failing to prevent a crime is also a crime. And you remember in my speech I told them that it's an onerous responsibility on them to ensure that their credibility is always intact. If they infract on their credibility by withholding the truth, at the end of the day they will end at the wrong side of the law.
The Center for Marine Law and Security at the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College at Teshi in Accra undertook the training.
The core aspects of fishery observer, which includes fish identification, sampling, catch assessment, and many other things in great detail. They've had the opportunity of going through seamanship and navigation, map reading, safety and security at sea, survival at sea, communication, and even firefighting.
Commandant of the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Rear Admiral Seth Amwama, tasked participants to be worthy ambassadors. The 10-day training covered both theory and practical courses in oceanography, the law of the sea and fisheries management, fisheries governance framework, Ghana's fisheries law, policy and institutional framework.
Now let's focus on sun winning with concentration on tuber.
Gravel and stones mining is common in the Botiano Cucurbita area of the Gan South municipality. Private contractors and individuals in the early 2000s used to mine gravels and stones on the hills close to the Densu River until the Minerals Commission moved in to stop them, though the hills have been depleted. The miners then moved to the Botiano Cucurbita hills. Every day, more than 20 trucks come here to collect stones and gravels that are often mined here. At the basement here, for instance, one can see the massive destruction or depletion by the activities of the miners. Yet, people are fast developing at the top of the hill. Residents at the low grounds complained of dust and their homes getting flooded during the rainy season.
The rainfall, it comes to my house, and the sun to my wall is sinking. You see, so I have to top the wall again.
I was told the Botiano Cucurbita hills were released to Joshua construction firm to win gravels for the construction of the Kaswa Nyamransa Road in 2014. After that, private contractors and individuals took over and have since been mining gravels and stones to the detriment of residents. The assemblyman of the Tuba electoral area, Abdul Karim Tete, said the assembly has on several occasions raised the matter and the district security coordinator promised to address it appropriately.
Some time ago they came and stopped them, but you know, they can't be chasing them every day. That's the problem. Led with the assembly, task force, and then the EPA, then the Minerals Commission, they also have to come in.
He accused chiefs and other traditional leaders for the current happenings. Farmers at Tuba say the stones and gravel winning is negatively affecting their farming activities. The dirty rainwater and sand, we were told, often pass through the canal, polluting the water in the reservoir.
The water also changes color, and if you put it on, if you water the crops, then the crops too, you know, they need natural water to grow, so it also affects our crops as well.
The farmers say they often have to desilt the sand from the canal to allow for free flow of water. Rahim Sombo regularly buys stones here, and he acknowledges the activity is not appropriate.
It's giving them infection, it's worrying them, but okay, it's not good, we have to stop.
Meanwhile, officials of the Minerals Commission say it gave permission to a company last year, but that permission has since expired. The commission says it had received a letter from the residents concerning activities of the illegal miners and promised to follow up, adding if the damage is severe, the miners will be asked to reclaim the land.
Now let's go back to the gas explosion story, but we're focusing on economic activities. And my colleague Etonam Se is at the side. She's joining me shortly to give us updates on what exactly is happening there. Hello, Etonam. Etonam, what have you gathered as you visited the site this morning? There's some economic activities ongoing there, or it has been halted?
Hello.
Can you hear me, Etonam?
Where fire raised down the whole fuel station as a result of the gas explosion. And on a normal day, Wendy, you will find a lot of economic activity just around the fuel station. You find people selling their wares, people selling food, all kinds of food, from tilapia to rice to banku. The place is usually very busy on a normal day, but as we speak, there is no business activity currently happening. Not a single trader here selling their wares. Nobody here is trading at all. Everyone is shut down. Earlier, I spoke to a gentleman who runs a tilapia joint. He says that since the whole thing happened on Saturday, the workers have not returned to work. Everyone is scared because they don't know when another explosion will take place. So out of fear, most of the workers have abandoned work and they are not here at the moment. And so there's really no business activity happening in and around the Total fuel station that was placed down by fire at the Atomic Junction, Wendy.
All right, but Esmam, yesterday when Evelyn was reporting live from that very area, she mentioned that there were several people or several observers there, although the area has been cordoned off. Is the situation same today?
The situation is same today. You find a lot of different pockets of people gathered in and around, gossiping about what they saw and what they didn't see and what happened and what didn't happen. We're told that a cameraman who works with next to a local television station here in Accra died yesterday or on Saturday after the third explosion happened. And so you have people gathered and gossiping about the incident. You have others who are just observing because we're told the president will be here any moment from now. And so yes, there are still people here, pockets of people gathered and talking about the incident basically. But there's no business activity happening here.
Thanks. Etonam say she is our reporter there on business activities. She gives us some more updates in the subsequent bulletins. You're still watching Business, and the Energy Minister Boachi Ejako has hinted the National Petroleum Authority (NPAs) to employ 200 fuel station inspectors across the country. Now, the Energy Minister made this known when he inaugurated a 9-member board of the Ghana Gas Company here in Accra.
It is interesting to note that for the past 6 months, we've been working on a new policy document to be approved by Cabinet to become the operating principles. We've extensively engaged stakeholders in the operations of that new policy. And I must admit that we've received some resistance from some vested interests who see this as impacting negatively on their businesses. But at the end of the day, what we ought to consider as a nation is the safety of our citizens over primary pecuniary interests. So it is that we will bring that to the fore and make sure that the standards of care and safety around the handling of gas conforms to the best international practice. Now that we have moved from a population of 12 million to 27 million strong, we ought to be even more stringent than we are now. This explosion was one too many, and we need to bring it to a screeching halt. There are a lot of things that we are going to do through the enunciation of the new policy. We will enforce all safety and health standards. NPA, which is the regulator, is now going to be allowed to hire 200 auditors who will go from station to station to make sure that safety standards are complied with, that safety equipment such as the CO2 and the foam and this and that are all in place. But more importantly, we have to come to the sensible and the logical position of having bottling plants outside population centers, well under control, both technical and safety, so that they rather do the filling and bring to us in our homes the filled cylinders. At the end of the day, what are citizens looking for? Gas in their cylinders. If it's done off-site under the strictest of safety conditions, I believe we will spare this nation the harrowing agony of seeing what we saw on Saturday night.
That's all for business. We have sports with Yerian. Thanks for staying. But before sports, information we have is that the President, Nana Dankwa-Akufo-Addo, is heading to the explosion site. And my colleague, Nana Kwekwe-Dua, joins us with some updates on this very story. So there you have in your shots. My colleague Nana Kwekudia is getting ready to speak to us, but some updates already on that story. We brought you some stories from the 37
moment from now. He will be coming here to see things for himself. Remember, yesterday the vice president was here, so we can even see the arrival of the president is here himself. He was on the 7-day tour of the northern region, and he came last night, and he has to be here himself. He sent the vice president, that's what we are understanding, to come. And so the vice president was here yesterday. See some ministers coming in to see exactly what's up. So exactly the president is what we are expecting to see here. Dignitaries have started coming in here. We can see NADMO officials to here who are representing here to see exactly what will be done. But president had been insisting that, look, we need to be stern on this time. But most people are asking the question that would it be the normal, let's get serious at one time and then let's forget about it this time. So what is the president going to do this time? So probably the president is coming to tell us exactly what it will be this time for him, because he is coming to office and this has happened. He is not happy that is going on. He said it should stop, and that's what we are looking at, what he will do, right? So any moment from now, we are expecting to see him very shortly. So we know Minister Bate Jako has arrived, but let's see if we can speak to him and see exactly what we will say right now. So he's having a meeting with some NADMO officials, but let's see exactly what he will say. Since he's arrived right now, to see exactly what he will say. We have been asked to move around, but Minister. Okay. We are being stopped here to go to the other side, but he's arrived. Bate Jako is arrived here to see exactly what the situation is. So other dignitaries too are coming in, and very soon the president will be arriving. So you can see the number of police officers here. The military is also here to know exactly what is going to happen here. So everybody is here actually. The fire officials, NADMO officials, the military, the police. And we are expecting the president to arrive any moment from now.
So as you heard my colleague Kwekudia, we're awaiting the arrival of the president, and as and when we get him, we'll bring you that update from that very side. And 6 contestants remain in Ghana's most beautiful competition, as 2 more were shown the exit in last night's edition of the show. Yah representing Ashanti region and Talata, the Upper East region, were evicted after an exciting marriage-themed show.
We wouldn't want anyone to be evicted, but unfortunately that's the rules of the game.
Yah and Talata had to say goodbye to the rest of the contestants as they took a bow. The 2, representing the Ashanti and Upper East regions, fell short of the pass mark, summoned public vote and judges' score. However, they were grateful for the opportunities given and the lessons learned.
I can't see it. A dream maybe I was so be free me. I don't really see it to be a very big deal. But Nyankopon I did my bedroom pempen so we. Tiana me kwa Midday and Kunimdie and Ekofie.
Thank you very much for all the votes, the love and the support so far. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
The contestants discussed issues related to marriage generally and advised on how to curb challenges. The topics included child marriage, barrenness in marriage, extravagant wedding ceremonies and bride price. Judges were impressed with performances by the contestants.
I hope that somebody will listen to us. You know, it's a very long journey. Well done, well done.
Do we really understand marriage? Don't we know that a wedding is just a day in the lifelong journey of marriage? Have we thought about our unborn children?
And that's all for this afternoon. Thank you so much for watching Midday Live. My name is Wendy Light. Have a lovely afternoon.